Oh, it's dark and moody, like the subjects of two stories. Welcome back to Doctor Who Review. I'm Chris.
I'm not Chris.
And we are sat in our living room on a rather dark winter's early evening. It's still winter, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well,
No, it's technically.
yeah, we're recording this on the 3rd of March?
4th.
4th of March. The Ides of March. And there's my hand, and there's our sofa. And there's a
cotton bud.
There's a cotton bud that's being used to clean paint on resin earrings. And there's a dog down here you might see periodically. There's her ear. Ooh, hello, it's a little dog. Yeah, we're here to talk about The Girl Who Died, The Woman Who Lived, The Zygon Invasion, and The Zygon Inversion. Is the diversion? We're both thinking that. Don't even fib. You're shaking your head. You're shaking your head, but you're smiling because you were thinking the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So would we call this two part the Zygon Invasion and the Zygon Inversion? Okay. Moana reference. Anyway, this is an interesting set of stories because I only ever watched these on broadcast. Had you watched these ones at all?
I think I'd seen the second, the woman who
lived.
The woman who lived. I think I'd seen that one because I remember seeing, Arya Stark.
Maisie Williams dressed as a highwayman.
That's it. And then I was like, what is going on? But I didn't remember how they got there. So I don't know how this happened. I didn't see the first half. What year did this come out?
2015.
Oops, So we were living together at that point?
We were in this house.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
So I don't know why I didn't watch the first one. Weird.
If I remember correctly, Series 9 is where you'd started to
Drift
actively
away.
tune out of the show. Yeah.
I drifted away.
But our friend Guy was living with us around the same time.
Shite, I forgot.
So there would have been a period where, like, I remember it distinctly for a couple of stories, where it was me and him sat in this room watching the episode go out, and you, on those occasions, you elected yourself to, oh, I'll do tea tonight, and you'd go and make tea. I think as a way to politely avoid watching the show that you weren't enjoying as much anymore.
That makes a lot of sense.
And you'd come in and you'd be like, how was it? We'd be like, oh, it was awful. Or, oh, I didn't like that one. You'd be like, yeah, okay. Anyway, here's some bolognese.
That's what I figured.
So, shout out to Guy, lovely man.
We love you, Guy.
Anywho, I didn't hate these as much this time around. And I think that's because, like with some other stories in the last series and this series, I was prepared for them. I knew what I didn't like. So I went in looking at what I did like. It's one of the fun things about revisiting it as a project and getting to stories now where, like, I know them.
Yeah.
And you don't. For you, it's like the explorative thing of, oh yeah, I've never seen this one. And for me, it's, right, what do I like about this one? It's time to see. Which sort of makes the revisit worth it for me in a way. Would you like to sum up? Because what we've been doing with this series so far is we've just talked about the stories, because both parts lead into one story, and we've picked out individual bits from certain episodes. But this first one is kind of in two halves. So would you like to tell everybody what you thought of The Girl Who Died?
I liked it. I thought it was... fun maybe isn't the word. It's quite depressing. I am a sucker for historical, though. So it was with Vikings. Even though there was inaccuracies, but whatever.
They were a likeable village. We got to know some of them a bit more than others, but they all seemed like very enjoyable characters to spend time with.
And it was a nice change that it wasn't with people that are, the warriors of the group. It was with the villagers that were left behind and how they react to being attacked, essentially, without having the muscle there. Mm-hmm. I thought it was clever the way they got around killing, like, some of the monsters, the way that, because it's essentially it's a race of alien that just like to fight.
The sort of conquest seems to be their thing. The Maya, they're called.
The main guy portrayed himself as
Odin.
Odin.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, it's Odin!" Blah, blah, blah. And
It's in case you didn't recognise him, it's
I did recognise him.
It's Tentacle Through the Face Death guy from the Pirates trilogy.
Oh crap!
Yeah.
No way! Ew, he's
in From Hell as well.
He's really not. Who is he in From Hell? Is he one of the?
I don't know.
Is he one of the police officers?
It's one of his credits listed, but yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah, it was again. Do you know what? I think this one makes a lovely companion piece, as weird as it sounds, to Robot of Sherwood.
That's why I was
It's
thinking.
the same kind of like certain period of history that like kids in the UK are educated on a lot as we're growing up, because of obviously Anglo-Saxon and Viking stuff. Like in different sites here in the UK, we've seen a lot of stuff from that period of history, and we've seen long ships and helmets and settlements and all this stuff and castles that we used. No, they didn't. I mean, I'm assuming that there were some horns somewhere. But like
it wasn't a traditional.
Yeah, it wasn't like everyone ran around with horns on their elements. But yeah, like I think there's something cozy about those period pieces for people of our age, and specifically people in the UK.
I never thought of it like that. That's quite adorable, really.
Well, it's like, whenever you see, I mean, aside from the writing just being really good and everything, and the performances, that that first run of Horrible Histories. Yeah. A lot of the comfort comes from like, oh my god, they filmed this in a place I've probably been on a school trip. Do you know what I mean? There's kind of that weird little cozy feeling
Vicious
to it.
Vikings? Would they be?
These guys, Vicious Vikings, yeah. Cruel crimes, punishment from ancient times. Romans, rotten, rank and ruthless. Cavemen, savage, fierce and toothless. What is it? Groovy Greeks. Something sages. Mean and measly middle ages. Anyway, point is, there's something cozy about this time period, and I think Robot of Sherwood's very similar. We've not really had many modern Who stories set in these kind of environments, really, have we? Overall,
I don't.
we had a fair few in the classic era, for example. Oh, you might need to be on dog watch. Neighbour's dog's just pulled up. Our dog gets very chatty when the neighbour's dog is nearby. But yeah, there's sort of that kind of vibe to this. I feel the village are quite nice, and just the support and the underdog vibe of the story is quite nice. The idea that the Doctor and Clara are like, right, these horrid alien things have come to just hurt people here for sport, I guess. And then we find out, no, it's for testosterone. They like liquefy the warriors and drink the testosterone.
Ew.
So, it's like the 456, but the fast food takeout version. Just sort of like, nah, we can't be asked to harvesting children for drugs. Let's just turn rowdy blokes into like an energy drink. So the Doctor and Clara, the Doctor reluctantly at first because he's worried about changing the course of history, and Clara being like, look, come on, don't be like that. They rally to help these Vikings survive. And that's your basic plot. It's a nice, simple, straightforward story. Nothing remarkable, but, like if it ain't broke. However, we get a few different angles to this. One, the Doctor being really reluctant to help them in case it messes with history.
Yeah. Reminded me a bit of...
Well, in a way where it's like, but you've got over this by now. You've got, in terms of like, there's so many stories where like something goes on in the past, in our history, or in the past for him at all, like in present day or whatever, and he still deals with it.
Yeah.
So it seems very like, why would you... And then narratively, Stephen Moffat takes over from Jamie Matheson for a few scenes, and you realise why he's being like this. It's so they can make a point and finally answer the riddle of who frowned me this face a series and a half later.
Has it only been a series?
It's middle of his second series right now. But like, this is something that should have been bookended in... Am I a good man should not have been the theme of Series 8. Like, it should have just been, I know who I am an idiot. It's like, no, it should have been the resolution of what you did in episode 1, him wondering why he looks familiar. Instead they do it here. But that's the idea. The whole point of it now is, oh, guess what? You look like bloody... What was his name? It's not Caecilius, is it?
Yeah, I think so.
What's he bloody called?
Caesarion.
That's not Peter Capaldi, that's Ghost.
A prophecy told.
That's Ghost, you dingus.
Sorry.
What's the name of the character?
I'm sure you got it right then.
It's going to bug me if I don't get it bob on though, because I know Caecilius is the villain from Doctor Strange, and I think that's why I'm confusing myself. He is... Where's his credit?
Quintessential to the plot.
Oh, no, yeah. Lobus Caecilius.
Yeah, Caecilius, yeah.
Yeah. So he looks like the character he met in Pompeii to remind him that sometimes it's okay to make little changes if it means some people get to live, I guess, is the moral. It's like, yeah, look, you're worried about perverting the course of history, but surely you can sneak a few people out. That's the point, isn't it? And he then looks at it as this village. If I can help this village live, it stops the Maya from doing anything to anywhere else, and these people get to live. So, like, yeah, let's do it. Whatever. Come on. Like, screw it. I'm going to save the day.
Clara's like, come on, we need to. You can't just walk away.
Yeah.
And he's like,
American man! It's a bit ham-fisted because it feels like it was the resolution to an arc that wasn't on the show's mind at all.
Yeah. Does it feel a bit shoehorned in?
Yeah. If it was the bookend to Series 8, it would work for me. If it came in the last episode of Series 8 and that was part of the resolution, it would work better for me. But that would require it having a story where it would thematically fit instead of evil Mary Poppins turns every corpse on the planet to a robot. Anyway, but then the problem with that is it ends on like, here, I've done a thing to save Shield's life. So that's great. Oh, but maybe it was a mistake. Who knows? And then part 2 is, yeah, it was maybe a mistake, maybe.
But also...
And later on in the series we'll learn that it was a very big mistake, unquote.
Are we going to talk about that?
About what?
The fact that he's got a fix-it-all pill.
Oh, an immortal making patch thing.
Yeah.
That works unless you use it on someone who's been killed by alien energy, and then it doesn't work.
Who was that?
Rufus Hound's character in
I thought
part 2.
He lives.
No, the implication is that he lives, but the implication is he might not have the immortality.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, but hang on. A shielder died from, like, using the helmet, like the neural link.
I thought she died of a heart failure.
I don't think they properly explain it. It's like So she uses... Okay, so the resolution of this story is great. The idea that they use her imagination to embarrass the Maya, and they record all of it and threaten to basically broadcast it to any other, like, species in the area. I love that. They basically embarrass the bullies. They embarrass them into defeat. Great. Love that.
Love that for them.
Love that for them. The CGI, like, sea serpent thing looks great. The big stupid puppet version looks great. The Maya's armour looks great. It's just a shame they kind of look like Jadoon Sontaran hybrid. Hybrid! They just sort of look like the Jadoon and the Sontaran. Like, it's fine, but when they're all about war and combat, you go, okay, that's a shame. They're weird fishy razor heads underneath, very strange. It's like a Resident Evil monster's climbed into a hazmat suit. Yeah, I don't know if their design underneath kind of fit their entire aesthetic, because you look at them and they're these wiry little things, so why would they be walking around in like clump? It doesn't quite fit.
I can't exactly remember what they look like.
They're sort of like CGI heads with like round mouths full of teeth.
Yeah, were they quite creepy?
Kind of fishy, yeah.
Yeah.
They look like something that Mila Jovovich would have farted on and defeated in a Resident Evil movie.
Is that how she defeated them?
May as well have been. All those things blend into one, they're awful. Apologies to the one fan of the Resident Evil movie franchise.
My mum.
Your mum. Yeah.
It's funny because it's true.
Let's talk about the direwolf in the room. Maisie Williams is great in this one.
I'd be mad, but that's funny.
Thank you. Maisie Williams is great in The Girl Who Died. I think she suits the character perfectly, and it's a great guest spot.
Yeah.
The problem is part 2, where Maisie Williams is not equipped at this point in their career to play this role.
No.
A shielder who continues to live on and becomes me, because that's what she chooses to refer to herself as, because she's kind of forgotten her old name, and there's always, at the end of everything, there's always just me, so I'm me, is now alive. This is the woman who died. The woman who lived. Several centuries later, and the Doctor runs into her by mistake.
And Clara's not with them.
Yeah, so it's a Clara Light episode. which is fine because Jenna Coleman is pulling overtime in terms of what she's shooting for the most part.
Yeah, because she's
at the end of the next story.
Victoria as well at this point.
Yes, Victoria will have started around this time as well. But it's just very...
She'd be bloody knackered.
She'd be bloody absolutely knackered yet. It's just...
Not good.
The woman who lived,
Cringe.
I find so underwhelming because it's such a powerful idea, but I think two things stop it from really hitting. Like, the idea of someone who's essentially been forced to be immortal.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of bleak. Like, the Doctor did it to save Ashildur's life because Ashildur died trying to help him. And he feels bad and he makes that decision. Yeah, I'm like, no, people have to, you know, I'm going to help her live. Let's do it. Thus, the fact that she goes on to live a horridly tragic life and gets up to, like, more potentially horrible stuff and world-risking stuff kind of says, oh yeah, that thing that your face taught you was a bad idea, mate, because you've screwed things up for people. It's like, what? I don't think anyone sat down and thought what any of this truly means. But Ashildur, who is part human, part technology... a hybrid! It's so bad. This is the worst story arc in the show's history. It's awful.
In the show's history?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Harsh.
I mean, to be fair, the classic series doesn't have many story arcs to contend with. You've got the Key to Time and the Trial of a Time Lord. That's it.
What is it? Amica?
Amica.
Amica?
Oh, God.
No.
A megapint. So...
I know, we're like months behind.
Oh, when people... No, don't. When people watch this, that'll be nearly 2 years old.
Holy moly.
Ridiculous. Anyway, so... Maisie Williams was not old enough and world-weary and experienced enough to be able to pull off playing somebody who had lost families and lived centuries. She wasn't ready. She was not ready. She was, I think we worked it out, she was about 17, 18 at the time of recording. She was not ready.
So would she still be doing Game of Thrones?
Yeah, she was still in Game of Thrones. You couldn't fricking avoid that when this came out. In fact, let me take the DVD. This is the Blu-ray box set. If we open this up, got the slip cover there, and inside we have a booklet. And on the back of the booklet is the summary for the series. Would you read the summary for the series out loud, please?
Peter Capaldi returns as the Doctor alongside Jenna Coleman and guests including Game of Thrones Maisie Williams.
Right, please stop. Why are you Scottish?
Dunno.
But also, any other guest stars listed on there? Any other random TV programme listed on there, distracting you from the fact that it's a Doctor Who booklet?
No.
Except for, of course, Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah, the marketing around this series was kind of gross on the basis that it was continuously mentioning Game of Thrones, Maisie Williams. Like, Game of Thrones, for context for those who may not remember in 2015, Game of Thrones was the biggest thing on the planet in 2015. 2015.
In case you didn't know, Game of Thrones is a show.
Yeah.
It's based on a book.
2015, 2016, 2017, sort of like series like, what, 3, 4, 5 of Game of Thrones, whatever, like, it was huge.
Yeah.
And...
that's a bandwagon that I did jump on.
Yeah, and you had a great time with it until the same point where everyone else didn't, which was the last series. But, like, you know, oh, that's cool, they've got bloody Arya Stark from Game of Thrones in a Doctor Who story, that's amazing. Oh, she's in 2! Oh, she's in 3. But it's like, okay, this is... alright. And Maisie Williams is very talented. All the cast of Game of Thrones are very talented. But a lot of them who hadn't yet kind of developed their, let's say, full-on skill set beyond the character that they'd honed and perfected in Game of Thrones were cast in things around this time. See Sophie Turner in the X-Men film franchise. See Kit Harington in pretty much anything at this point in time. They were just casting stuff. A lot. And in every single thing they were in, they were fine. It's a Game of Thrones curse. If you can already have an established career, your Charles Dances, your Peter Dinklages, like they were actors, you know, Jason Momoa, Lana Headey, they were actors from Game of Thrones who, because of Game of Thrones, started getting cast in more stuff, but they had enough of a track record that they'd obviously developed their skills and played lots of different characters. Yeah. The ones who'd been cast to play characters who were like teenagers and up hadn't really developed yet. Now, some of them have gone on to like be, you know, really, really cool, and it's cool to see them in more things. But like Maisie Williams was not ready to play a like 400, 500-year-old Viking who had lost family to the plague yet, and it be convincing and have all the weight that it needed. She's trying. She's trying! Like, on this watch, you can see it. They're going for it. They are going for it. But whether it's the direction or her lack of kind of a natural world weariness that she could put into the role at this age, it just doesn't work for me at all. A shielder? Great. Me? No. Not the one. Sorry. Add to that, the other reason this is a bit guff. It's immediately after the girl who died.
Yeah.
And you pointed that out, and as soon as you said it, I was like, God, you're right. There's no weight to it.
No.
If you look at it as a two-parter, sure, but then it's two very disparate stories that don't really work together.
If it had been, say, like... episode 1 of the series, and then we went back and saw me like
she should
episode
have been
6.
She should have been more of a River Song kind of thing.
Yeah.
There was a gap between them.
Absolutely, because
it's
we just see her as a lovely girl. What was her name? A shielder. A shielder.
Yeah.
And then straight away we just see her as angry. What is it? A shielder.
Me.
No. What's her original name?
Maisie Williams.
No, in the first one.
A shielder.
A shielder.
A shielder. A shielder.
We just see her as angry as shielder. And it's like, there's not been enough time for there to be an impact made. And so, you know, we're like the Doctor, we're like, oh, a shielder. Oh, no, that's not your name. So we don't have enough time to care. Do you know what I mean?
There's also a few other weird little aspects to it that, like, Maisie Williams at the time, so I see 2015, Maisie Williams was born in 97, so she was 18 when she recorded it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a shielder is referred to as a remarkable young woman, and the word woman is used a lot. But Maisie Williams is very, very young looking.
She's very little.
Very young looking. Like, not just like, you know, height and stature and stuff, but like she has a very, very youthful face.
She's a little cherub.
So, and because the only other character that she like has a familial bond with in The Girl Who Died is her father, it really kind of establishes in your head as a viewer, Dad and his little girl. Especially when she dies and he's like cradling her in his arms. Yeah. It's very much like you think of her as very young. So, the fact that she had several families and everything in the time between, like, yet again, she was 17, 18 in real life. And in the UK, for those who don't know, like, 16 is the age of consent and all that, but still, I think everybody universally is like, let's skew toward 18 overall, shall we? Like, it feels weird that she's had children, because that means that she's like slept with several people over the centuries, which feels weird when you think she's an immortal young girl. Do you know what I mean? Even though she's mentally she's not anymore. And again, she could be 18, 19, 20. They never establish how old the character is. She could be like 20, for example. But it just feels very, because of how young she looks, it feels weirdly undefined and uncomfortable to me, especially then when you have characters flirting with her and being romantic with her in the second episode. It feels kind of wrong.
Well, I don't know if you're aware of this, but there hasn't always been an age of consent.
True, yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
In, like, the period of time that she's in, or that she talks about having the plague, we'd be considered old, me and you. People's life expectancy was like half of what ours is now. Purely because they didn't wash. But her being pregnant at that age, that's probably quite old to be pregnant.
Yeah, that's true. But then again, it's also that thing of, well, that's still kind of uncomfortable to a modern audience, so why not have the character just be an older character to begin with? Like, she could still be someone's daughter, but not look like a baby. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Considering the whole thing is she hasn't aged a day between, the girl who died and the woman who lived. Visibly, she hasn't aged. That you could have someone who you could have a character who was like 65 be the one who gets that thing, and then the novelty is, oh my god, they still look exactly the same years later.
Yeah.
Like, I get that they want the shock value of, like, she looks, very youthful and she's not aged. That just feels very strange to me. It feels like that would be something where it would be something that kind of stopped her life from going in certain directions. Like Sprite from the Marvel film Eternals, for example.
Yeah.
They really play into that in a way that's quite powerful and sort of tragic and sad. Do you know what I mean? Eternally, pun intended, they look like they're 12, like eternally.
Like the little
and as
girl
a result,
from
they're never
An
going to
Interview with
really.
the Vampire.
Kirsten Dunst's character in Interview with the Vampire, exactly.
What's her name?
I can't remember, but it's Kirsten Dunst in it. Like that whole thing of. I mean, she doesn't care because she's just going to eat people. But
No,
like,
it's a plot point that she gets angry that she'll never be.
There's certain things she'll never be able to do because it will be seen as creepy as hell, and they're eternally stuck in this form. S.H.I.E.L.D. by casting Maisie Williams at this time, a time where she is, and correct me if I'm wrong, in Game of Thrones, her character's like 14, 15.
Yeah.
Right. So you're heavily reminding the viewer that you've got this actor. There you go. You've got this actor from this show in your show.
Yeah.
So you're getting everyone to think about Arya Stark, right?
Mm.
And then you cast them as someone's child, who's very young looking, who their only relationship in that first story is with their dad, who treats them like their little girl, because it's a dad.
Yeah.
And then you say in the next episode, oh yeah, no, she's been going around like having babies and getting drunk and doing all that, and you sort of like, this feels weird. This feels like something you should put into the plot of like she has not been able to do these things, and that's part of like, her frustration and everything. She's like, I'm not a child anymore.
Yeah.
But I'm eternally a child. You doomed me to this, you arsehole. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they don't. I think you resolve a lot of what I find personally kind of about the character of me and the performance just by casting someone who's visibly a bit older.
Yeah.
That would have avoided so much of the weirdness I feel about this whole character for me.
Well, amplified by the fact that when she's, a kid, she's shown running to the Vikings when they come back, and she's really, really excited. And if
they're
she
really
were
playing
older,
up the playful, childish nature. Yeah.
If she were older, they'd be like, there'd be like a romantic thing going on, like a romantic sideline.
She'd run back to like the warrior who she's started dating or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And the fact that she makes puppets and tells herself stories and everything, it's like they're really child coding the character.
Yeah.
So the thought of them having had like babies and everything just makes me feel really uncomfortable. Which takes away from the true tragedy of the story that they're trying to tell there, with the idea of like her living through, like the way the chip and the thing in her system works, is like she's lived through diseases because her body has managed to like patch it up just enough. And they keep reaffirming throughout this, barring accidents, she could live forever.
Yeah.
So if she gets,
she got her head cut off, she'd be dead.
If she bleeds to death, if she got a disease that her body couldn't fight in time, like she could die. But this thing's given her kind of a leg up. It's repairing her wherever it can. So it's not like Wolverine healing factor quickness. It's but it is something that's giving her a help. So the idea that she's lived through the plague and things like that, like that's such a tragic and amazing idea. And I love the library of her journals.
Yeah.
Because even she's like, oh, hang on. And she has to go back and check something because she's lived so long she forgets. And it's like, okay, that's a cool idea. I don't like the fact she's randomly teamed up with a potentially evil alien.
That's random. He looked good though.
His makeup was amazing. Yeah, what was he? The big lion boy. Leandro. Of course.
Oh, piss off.
Of course.
Really?
Played fairly well by Arion Bakare under all the prosthetics, but we don't really get to see him very much. But he does a good job. He has a presence.
I'd like to tickle him under the chin.
And the fact that is just like, I've been separated from my family and I need to get back and you're going to help me open up this thing that'll take me back home, and it involves killing someone. It's like the thing will kill the person, but it'll open up a portal. She's like, sure, cool, then I'll go with you and it'll be great. I'll get off this planet and we'll go do stuff in the stars. It'll be amazing.
Why wouldn't he just kill her?
Because he needed her to help get the the stone or whatever, wasn't it? There was a whole thing to do with getting it. She's a highwayman. She's a known thief and everything. Well, not known. Her you know, her alias is known.
So you like Robert?
What's she called? The Nightmare. Yeah, the Nightmare.
A little scary little.
And again, that's another thing. Her dressed as a highwayman does not look remotely intimidating. It looks adorable. It looks adorable.
It does look
because she's tiny. Like because she's tiny. There are ways to dress that up to make it look not like a tiny actor in a highwayman outfit.
She looks a little bit like a kid that's dressed up for
Yes.
World Book Day.
Yeah, and this isn't a dig at Maisie Williams. It's just.
Am I saying that because World Book Day was yesterday? Yes.
To this recording.
Yes.
Not to them. In the future.
Yeah.
Oh God. But like, this is not a dig at Maisie Williams. It's like, surely there was a better way to dress the character so that it felt like more of an intimidating presence. If a tiny highwayman with a dubbed voice randomly held up my carriage, I wouldn't really be fearing for my life. No. I'd be like, just drive, coach driver. Just come on, let's go. Let's just leave. Like,
they can fire one shot and then they'll have to reload and it'll take them about 10
especially when she's working with Leandro as well. Like, surely she get him involved. Do you know what I mean? Like, noticeably in the robberies and stuff.
Like scary in the trees.
Yeah, instead of him just watching, have him be participating in the heist in some way that's really, oh my God! So it becomes this thing of a legend. Like people talk about, people go down that route if they're foolish enough. Like they'll meet the nightmare and their demon or whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's like, no, it's just a tiny highwayman. Also, the idea that she's developed the impression to do a male voice that sounds nothing like a voice that
anybody could do, like under that, like a girl like that.
Well, that's the thing. The fact that she's wearing like a face mask, but they don't muffle the voice.
Jesus,
it's weird. There's weird decisions in this story. Rufus Hound as Sam Swift is a fun inclusion. I like the idea of someone literally using gallows humour to distract and like buy time before they have to actually be hung.
Very tragic and very funny.
It's cringy, but it's meant to be cringy, and I like it. It's like, yeah, okay, sure. I think this is a waste of Rufus Hound.
I like Rufus Hound.
I like him a lot. I think this is a waste of him.
I forgot that Rufus Hound existed. Just because they do stage now, don't they?
Yeah, he's mostly a stage performer. We saw him in Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, and it's press night, opening night in Manchester.
We had stall seats, didn't we?
We did.
They were great seats.
And we had access to an after party, but we were all knackered.
And we were like, no.
We were like, no, I'm tired, mate.
I'd gone straight after work, so I was in my work gear. And
who was it? It was Kat from BB's, Katie, me, and you, wasn't it? Alex came as well.
No, they weren't together at this point.
Weren't they?
No, it was.
God, it was that far back. Oh
because he was talking to me and he was saying, "Oh, I'm not really bothered."
Yeah, I remember.
Oh, yeah, depressing.
Right, great. But yeah, we went to that, and that was cool. And it was like, oh wow, Rufus Hound's really good. Like I don't think I've really seen him as a stand-up.
I was shocked.
This is great. And he's gone off and been like, yeah, I'm going to do this now. It was around that period of time where like TV programs were hiring a lot of stand-ups with like distinct facial hair. Rufus Hound is no longer known as someone with a giant handlebar mustache, but he was for like the first 9 years of his TV career.
Yeah.
Justin Lee Collins was someone who was around in that period
I was
as well.
just going to say, where are they now?
Read into it. Anyway, so allegedly. Alleged.
Who were they
allegedly
paired with? Was it Alan Carr?
Yes, they did a bunch of programs together for a while, didn't they? Justin Lee Collins and Alan Carr.
Not Alan Carr.
No, Alan Carr. Glasses?
Yeah.
Yeah, Alan Carr.
Oh.
You think of Jimmy Carr for a second.
Yeah, sorry.
But no, Alan Carr and Justin Lee Collins got partnered up a lot for stuff.
They did, yeah.
Rufus Hound is great in this. I feel it's a waste of him. I know there's going to be someone in the comments going, but Big Finish! Yes, I know he's the meddling monk in Big Finish. I know he is.
Is he really?
So a few actors have played the meddling monk in Big Finish stuff.
That's funny because that story was making me... because
was thinking of like meddling monk kind of Hartnell
with
historicals.
the Vikings that he was trying to change...
Battle of Hastings and change everything. Yeah. My favourite meddling monk in the audios has been Graham Garden from The Goodies. Graham's been the meddling monk in some of the Paul McGann audios.
Oh my
Again,
gosh.
glasses.
Yeah.
Just narrowing down it.
Yeah.
So there's been a few actors played that character in the audios because it's like, well, after the Daleks' master plan and him getting apprehended in Egypt, we never saw the monk again. So where is he? Well, he must just be out there. So no way did the monk get recalled to the Time War. So he'll be out there somewhere, like getting up to some mischiefs,
Oh, he's in
had
the
he not
time
already died.
Sorry.
Good lord, and nothing will ever be the same. So we were back at that exact same theatre we saw Dirty Rotten Scoundrels a week ago, watching Rocky Horror shows. There
Surprise.
we go. Surprise.
Surprise date night.
I didn't very much care for part 2.
No. No.
There's just some stuff I didn't like. Like, she had an elderly butler who was like, how does he not know that you're, like, the nightmare? He's a bit deaf and a little bit blind. And he seems like quite a sweet guy. And then she volunteers to kill him to open the portal. You're like, what's wrong with you?
So
Well, she's grown cold. But you two have
why?
a nice relationship, so why would you randomly... Wow. You're not making me like me. And it's the fact that it's, oh no, we've been tricked. Actually, all of his lying friends are going to come through with spaceships and kill everyone on Earth. And then she goes, oh no, I've seen the error of my ways.
Like
it's
the Master,
oh,
the what's it? Terror of the Autons, is it? No, not Terror of the...
Well, just Pertwee-era Master is like, oh bollocks. Like, alright.
He's like, haha, I've got you now. What makes you think that they're going to take you with them? Oh shit, you're right.
But the thing is, the Master's a villain, and he's doing the coward's way out there. This is a shielder meant to be having like an epiphany. But it's like, no, don't buy it. Do not buy it. You are not getting a pass from me, I'm afraid. It's not happening. She uses the patch that she'd been given by the Doctor to if she wanted to meet somebody and take them with her on her journey through immortality. She gives it to Sam Swift to save his life. And then we get all these implications that it's probably not going to work.
Because he was, dying.
Yeah, so because it was alien stuff, this, that, and the other, so the amulet thing might cancel out the effects of the patch. The patch is brought back to life, but he might not be an immortal, blah, 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 blah. I just don't really...
like it.
The Capaldi's exchange with the guards who get bribed is quite funny.
Would you like to know... Oh yeah, that is quite funny.
Yeah.
Would you like to know what really, really, really grinds my gears about this?
Go on. Have you got notes on these episodes, by the way?
Yeah.
Go on.
We'll get to them in a minute.
Crack 'em out. Because we're about to move on from this story.
He's had these little token things for ages.
Has he, or are they from the Maya?
Doesn't he get it from his TARDIS?
It feels like that's what happens, isn't it? I'm going to double check it, but go on.
Why is he never given one of those to...
No, they're from the Maya. From the Maya's helmets.
Oh.
He modifies them, yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, you mean, why would he not have given them to, someone he wanted to spend all of his time with?
Like Rose?
Yeah.
Why would he not have given one
Well, I suppose he doesn't want to curse... I suppose part of it is he doesn't want to curse anyone
Danny Pink, when
he doesn't, yeah.
he was dead. And...
He doesn't want to curse anyone with immortality, I guess, until he does it to a random young girl from a village.
Also, if your only companion in life was your dad...
Yeah.
Why would you not make him immortal as well? Unless he didn't want to be made immortal.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I wouldn't want to be immortal. I'm bloody tired.
Get your notes out, come on, we've got to crack on.
Okay.
Got to crack the crack on.
Want to hear my notes on this?
Hit me for the Girl Who Died and the Woman Who Lived by Jingo.
Vikings equals automatic win. I like Capaldi.
Yeah, he's on fire in these two stories. He's very enjoyable to watch.
What was in the suit?
What?
In Clara's suit in the beginning. She's in
the spider thing or whatever it was.
I wanted to see what it was.
Yeah, we never see it. We get the cop out of him stamping on it off screen.
They go through all the effort of having her out in space and, squishing it and have it, but why? Anyway. They're getting a lot of use out of that space suit.
Yeah.
The orange one.
At least it was someone else wearing it this time.
I love Capaldi because he is trying to convince the villagers that he is Odin.
I'm Odin!
Just before the Maya... Is it Maya?
Yes.
Just before the Maya appear and they're like, you're not Odin. Oh my god, it's Odin! And he's doing tricks with his yo-yo.
Yeah, the Tom Baker yo-yo.
Yeah, and he says the yo-yo was supposed to do that, but it obviously didn't go the way he wanted.
Huh.
Stop thinking of me and think of them, Clara being noble. She's done like a switcheroo.
Me. No, it's all about them now, Doctor.
Eels.
Eels.
I thought that was very clever.
Yeah, that was
Electric
good.
eels.
Fire in the water. I didn't hate the baby talk thing. I thought it got a little too far. It was like, all right, calm down. The baby's not being that prophetic. Like, come on.
Well, I think he was wasn't he making that up a little bit?
No, he's interpreting.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But they have established in the show that
He can talk
babies have thought. Like
baby
I'm assuming
genius.
it's baby genius logic. Yeah, where like they get to a certain
forget at a
age
certain point, yeah.
and they just
When they
stop
get to
being
toddlers,
clever.
they forget.
Yeah. But I like the fire in the water revelation. I think that's very fun.
I went to a baby group this week with Big Down Baby.
Yeah.
And baby geniuses, definitely a thing.
Okay.
Anyway. Ew, they're gross. I'm not entirely sure.
They'll be the Maya with their like fish heads.
Oh yeah, okay. Reverse the polarity of the neutron flow.
Yeah, he says it.
He says it.
He bloody says it. He bally well says it. I think this might be the first time it's said in canon. No, it's probably the second time.
That's it.
Okay. I didn't make any notes for the where we lived. No.
I think I just tuned out. I only have 2 notes for the next story.
Go on, let's hear him.
For the next one.
Yeah, for Zygon Invasion, Zygon Inversion.
Yeah.
Go on.
Are you sure you want to hear?
Yes, hit me.
Doctor playing guitar, Lucy Likey. Why am I so embarrassed?
Okay. The thing is, you fancy as like a blanket older men and rock stars.
Yeah.
So Capaldi, who's not a bad-looking man, he's a very sort of like handsome vulture of a gentleman. He's a very crooked.
What a description.
He's a very crooked bay, isn't he?
Rugged.
I don't call him rugged. Fluffy.
No, he's not rugged at all.
He's fluffy.
What's it in Thing last night was rugged.
What are you talking about?
The pirate thing.
Describe what we... They have no idea what we watched on television last night.
I forgot there was a camera.
Con O'Neill in Our Flag Means Death.
Yeah,
right.
They were rugged, sexy, and then he spat on the floor, and I was like...
Because he's a pirate!
I know, but gross.
Oh, God.
Anyway,
You're the sort of person who looks at Jack Sparrow and goes, well, I'd like a go at that. And it's like, yeah, but you do realise, like, what he'd be carrying,
the STDs.
right?
He's got every STD.
Can't you smell him through the screen? I can.
He's got syphilis. when has he ever brushed his teeth? I doubt it.
He's got syphilis. He keeps it in a little bottle on one of his dreadlocks.
Well, no, we won't go into this. I was going to go into a Johnny Depp thing then, but no.
No. I beg a pint. What's your other note? Oh, God.
So, the way that the Zygons connect with their technology, I suppose, is like touchy-feely, isn't it?
Yeah, which is true to Terror of the Zygons back in the 70s. Exactly the same.
It was gross then, and it's gross now.
Gross then, gross... Even more gross now, maybe, because it's like gooey in its close-ups. Yeah.
The doctor said he was titivating the prongs. And Clara
was it fronds?
No, prongs.
Oh, dear Lord.
And Clara made the joke of, do you want to be left alone?
Yeah.
And I would be grossed out by that, in a Moffat way. But it was, like, genuinely, like...
The way the two delivered it, and, yeah.
I just wrote, titivating the prongs, ew. That was it. They're the only notes.
Fantastic.
Something that I really
So
like.
they were both about Capaldi doing something with his fingers. Fantastic. So, as a story about extremism and a batch of people ruining the image and safety of others in their place by doing horrendous acts. Basically, this is a story about terrorism.
Yeah.
And it works really well for that. We finally sequelize Day of the Doctor. We finally find out what happened in that room and what agreement was reached between Kate Stewart and the Zygon that looked like Kate Stewart. And it's interesting because it's like, okay, so since then, the Zygons that came through all the paintings have been living among us. They have been looking like humans, presumably looking like humans that already exist, but they've been set up with different identities, different names, aliases, and they've been allowed to live mostly in the UK. There's mention that there's a few out of the UK, but they're mostly in the UK.
So did they have to have killed a person?
No, not at all. Not at all. They can look like whoever. If they want to be a duplicate of that person, like have their memories and stuff, it's better for them to keep hold of the person or be in proximity to them.
Right.
It's like, the original Zygon stuff, and in this one, in Day of the Doctor, like, for example, in Day of the Doctor, they want Kate Stewart's memories. The one that's disguised as Kate Stewart needs to have everything in its head that Kate Stewart has. Mm-hmm. So Osgood finds Kate, like, trussed up against those two statues, like in the Zygon stuff. She's been kept alive so that there's a mental link to Kate. Yeah?
Right.
If they need to look like you, to pretend to be you, but if they need to look like you and pretend to be you, but not, like, in depth. So say if they want to look like a security guard to get access to that building, yeah?
Right.
They'll just kill that security guard and they'll look like them and they'll go in and everyone will see them and be like, oh, you're right, Terry, come on in, no. Like, that's it, yeah? They're killing them just so that they can't be rumbled.
Yeah.
Oh, I've been rumbled. But if they were like, say you wanted to rob a vault and that security guard knew how to get into that vault, they would keep the security guard trussed up somewhere and keep a mental link with them.
Because they need to know.
Because they'd get to the vault and they'd be able to access
info.
that. Yeah, exactly. And we see them do that in a bit more of an elaborate way in this when we discover that there's like a whole basement underneath that block of flats, which again is the same frickin' place that they shoot stuff in Series 1, and sometimes they shoot around it in a way that's clever, and sometimes it's like, that's Rose's block of flats.
Yeah.
That's Rose's flat, so we're not gonna... That's the Powell estate, are we not gonna trust this up at all? Okay, no, alright, fine, that's annoying.
It really annoys you, that, doesn't it?
Oh god, it gets on my tits so much. There's certain things, like, I think it's in this story, yeah, when they find the Zygon sort of control hub in that room, and like the second time where he's fondling the prongs. The second time we saw it, I was like, it's that little walk-down basement room that they use in every other series. That once you've noticed it, you can't unnotice it. Yeah. That exact same room is where, like, Tennant in the Dalek New York two-parter finds, like, the device at in the building that's, like, hooking it up. It's the same room that Cassandra and Chip are hiding out in New Earth. It's oh god, it's so annoying. Once you've spotted it, you can't unsee it, and it's so annoying. But I get it. It's a production team with location scouts and everything, knowing places that make great for the shoots. But there are certain locations that they filmed in repeatedly where it's not obvious. Yeah. Like those archways that they have the chase with Margaret Blomfell-Foch in Boomtown. Yeah. That alleyway by the side of the building, those two archways. Yeah. That's very distinct and sticks in your mind because you can picture her running towards them, pressing the thing, the Doctor and friends at the other end judging it, and her reappearing at the other end. You can picture that alleyway. That alleyway's featured in about 5 stories since then, but it's not obvious. Right. Because it's been used for the archways, the alleyway itself, like the exterior of the building. It's the way it's dressed, the way it's lit, and the way it's shot. We are, of course, 9 series into the modern run.
It's getting heated, guys.
Oh, it's just so weird because it's like, I get it. It's something that's unavoidable in a way. I get it. You know what I mean? Yeah. You've got directors who weren't working on it 4 years ago. You've got directors who weren't working on it a year ago working on it, who don't know exactly what the shots were in the previous ones. And you shouldn't, if you're jumping onto a TV show, have to have watched all of that TV show to understand what to shoot and what not to shoot. I get it. But it is annoying when you spot it.
It's jarring. It's like, when you're watching it, like, when you're watching one after the other, like we are kind of at the minute. Yeah. It's so much more noticeable. Whereas I suppose if it's week to week, you're not going to notice. Well, you will because you're you, but
it's just especially because previously these locations have been used for very distinct shots and stuff. Yeah. Like, and when it's been used a certain way and shot a certain way, like again, someone correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure it's these 2 locations. The main hallway from End of the World, from the Forest of Cheam. Trees and everybody showing up and everything, the main viewing platform on Satellite 1 to watch the End of the World, right? Ow. That is a big, glorious location. This giant hallway, there's marble columns and all this. Looks amazing, right? Yeah. That's been reused in loads of stories, but it ain't obvious. Like,
the dog's just powered down.
The big meeting hall where the Silurians and Amy and you know, the characters from that 2-parter like sit down to negotiate where the Silurians could live on Earth. Remember that? Yeah. That's the same bloody building. Does not look like it.
No. Oh, really?
Because it's how you shoot it and how you dress it.
Oh. That's crazy.
It just doesn't... I don't know, it's distracting. It's distracting. But, yeah. Anyway, where were we? I think
honey, you don't have to be. You don't have to be angry now.
The allegory of this story works really well, and I think us essentially I think the execution of shapeshifters holding people hostage potentially and throwing the soldiers off is an interesting scenario.
Throwing off the soldiers.
This feels like a Torchwood story.
Yeah, yeah.
It doesn't feel like a Doctor Who story. I mean, Doctor Who has done stuff like this, especially in like the Pertwee era and stuff. Like they've handled topics like this and done it really well, and it's been this same level of like the politics and the strategy and the military application. Like they've done it in other things before, and it's worked well. This feels like a Torchwood story.
Did we say this whilst we were watching it?
No, we said that it when we were watching it. We said that it's a little. I think it's a little too heavy in places.
It's a little mid-running
for the kid audience.
Yeah.
Like just a little bit. At the same time, that's not to undercut the intelligence of children. Like if there's ever there was anyone who's like, do not talk down to kids, they're smarter than you think. It's me. Like I've worked in family entertainment, and whenever I see family entertainment that's just, it's just for kids,
patronising,
and you can see that, I get so annoyed because I'm like, nope.
They're smarter than you
kids'
think.
Audience are the most difficult audience to cater to, because you have to respect them, but also know when to hold their hand. Like you've got to. Yes, you do. I'm afraid you have to find that balance, and I feel this story.
I'm joking, of course.
I feel this story doesn't hold their hand as much as it should do.
Right.
But it does. It respects them for grasping with these rather, scary concepts of actual real life stuff like extremism and terrorism, things like that.
What?
But it just. I don't know. It doesn't feel like a kid would. It doesn't feel like a kid of any age would sit down and put this story on.
It's going back to what we've said previously, isn't it, really? That it's not... At this point, they've forgotten that it's a kid's show.
And some stories, yeah. But, like, I could imagine a kid putting on... Just sticking to this series, the Dalek two-parter. I could imagine a kid putting on the Ghosts and the Lake two-parter.
Yeah.
I could imagine a kid putting on the previous two stories. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't imagine them choosing to watch this one.
No.
Does that mean it's bad television? No, not at all. I just feel it's a bit much in places.
A bit much for the intended audience.
I love the idea of seeing what happens if a victim of the Zygon thing starts to become aware. Like, I love seeing that. So if they're sort of conscious, it's like they're in a comfortable place that's familiar. In Clara's case, it's in her flat. And she's cosy. She's in her PJs. She's got her Ugg boots on. She's like nice and cosy and casual.
Yeah.
But because it's Clara, she thinks of a bit beyond the dream logic. Like anyone else would go, I must be dreaming. And Clara's like, nope. Like, why are there no windows? Why does the front door lead to nothing? She immediately starts, there's a little nod to the continuity of Last Christmas. She goes and reads something.
Yeah. That was clever. I didn't realise that until you said it.
Yeah, it's like, so she knows if it's a dream, it wouldn't make sense, but some of the words make sense. She's like, right, okay. Well, that's quite clever. And I like the idea that Bonnie, the Zygon that's taken on the appearance of Clara, and has done since near enough the start of the story.
Yeah.
I like the fact that Bonnie is like, I can feel you in there trying to wake up and stuff. That's not how this is going to work. I like their face-off over the telly.
Yeah, where they'll know if each other's lied because the pulse will be different.
Yeah, I think that works really well.
That's really clever.
So I just put a needle on the floor and trying to pick it up before I forget it's there. So that's really good. I think Jenna Coleman does a great job as both characters. I like Gemma Redgrave in this. This is one of the times where Kate Stewart sort of has been a lot more proactive and has more to do.
She's a badass.
Although she gets a really painful line reading nod to the Daemons.
Oh God, I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was really bad.
No, it doesn't make any sense.
That was really bad. And I think the star of this story is Ingrid Oliver as one of the Osgoods. I'm just going to double check in the room because the cat's just come out of the kitchen in a really suspicious way. Would you like to tell them what you thought of the whole Zygon standoff thing?
I interpreted the...
Oh yeah, this was a whole thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm still struggling to get past it. Which story is it? The one with
It's Death in Heaven. It's when
Heaven.
Missy kills
Yeah.
Osgood in the end of last series.
I took that as... Well, we know that there's a Zygon version of her because...
Well, this story reminds us that there's a Zygon version of her. Because presumably, Kate Stewart and stuff, their Zygon duplicates don't look like them anymore.
Yeah.
But the Osgood one from Day of the Doctor chose to stay as Osgood.
Yeah.
And we know from the fact that both of them in the last story and in this story, both of them use the inhaler, that they've both fully committed to being Osgood. But and the reason for that is established, and I think it's my favourite part of this, my genuine favourite part of this two-parter, is the idea of, right, so we've got a bunch of shapeshifters living on Earth, just, they're refugees, they want a peaceful life. Yeah. And to maintain the kind of the truce of it all, make sure that everyone's going to look out for each other, the two Osgoods have this device known as the Osgood box, which could end like the... What's it called? It's not safe state, is it?
Oh shit! What's it called? Stay.
Ceasefire. No.
Yes, a ceasefire, but stay of
wibbly bobblies.
Oh shit! I can't remember.
It's alright. It's okay. Stalemate.
Stalemate.
Or whatever. Anyway, the fact that there's two of them, and the fact that the Doctor's like, right, so which one are you then? On numerous occasions, and she's like, I'm Osgood. He's like, yeah, but are you the human or are you the Zygon? And at no point is he like, which one are you? Tell me. He's just like, no, I'm curious. Which one are you? And she's like, I'm Osgood. And he's like, no, but which one is that? That's not the point, though, is it? Like, you gave us the Osgood box. You helped set up this truce.
Yeah. Because
you know that we both have to be Osgood for it to matter.
Yeah.
Because that's the point. The Zygons aren't the Zygons. They're citizens of Earth. They're people who live here. And he's reluctant, but he's right. He realises you're right. Like, you're completely right. But there's a couple of times in the story where he can't help but ask because he's really curious. And then at the end, of course, Bonnie is now also Osgood. So we know that one of them is a Zygon for definite, and they might both be a Zygon, but that's not the point. Like, they're both Osgood. The whole point of this is, these aren't Zygons living amongst humans. They're humans, for all intents and purposes. They are citizens who just want a home. They just want somewhere safe to be. It's a story about immigration. It's a story about seeking asylum.
Absolutely.
And the fact...
But Doctor Who's not political.
No, but that's the thing. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. If you looked at it as, well, these ones are humans and these ones are Zygons, you're immediately making it an us and them.
Yeah.
So the fact that both Osgoods are Osgood, and if you asked either of them forever, they'd be like, no, I'm the original. Because that's the point. Do you know what I mean? Like, we are the same person. It doesn't matter. It's maintaining the whole thing of, yeah, you're right. Like, we are all in this together. All in this together. Like, we're all in this together.
What difference does it make if I am the human or if I'm the Zygon?
Yeah, that just others me. That will just make it so that it's an us and them thing, putting us into two categories. We're not. We're all under the same roof. We're all looking out for each other.
We both have, the right to be...
Right to be here, and right to live, and right to have peace and
to be
lives.
Stood here and wear these clothes. And...
So that's essentially what it is. But you got a weird hang-up because, like, I'd seen somewhere, and I'm sure it's Moffat, it might be Ingrid Oliver, I don't know, but somewhere someone had mentioned that they think the Osgood that was killed in the last series was the real one.
By Missy.
And we mentioned that to each other. We had a chat about it.
Right.
And then you couldn't get that out of your head when you were watching the story.
So, at that point, when Missy shoots... No, when
Missy kills one of the Osgoods. But at the time, we, the viewer, didn't know there was more than one Osgood.
Well, we did, because we've already seen the Doctor...
Well, we'd seen them in Day of the Doctor.
Yeah.
But since Day of the Doctor, there'd been no mention of the Zygons. Yeah. So, as far as we knew, the Zygons were away somewhere else.
Day of the Doctor is where the Zygons... Like, where
They come out of the paintings...
Is where Osgood Zygon came from?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So...
After Day of the Doctor, the next time we see Kate...
There could be...
Osgood, and Unit...
Could be an Osgood in the sky and Osgood on the ground. Yeah, is that what you're implying?
Oh, what you're saying is there was one on the plane with Missy...
Yeah.
And there was also another one somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yes, but we don't know that as the viewers. We have no idea that was a thing. We just thought we saw Osgood get killed. And we did. We saw Osgood die. Which Osgood it is... Doesn't matter, because an innocent person got killed by Missy.
Okay, I think now I'm starting to get it.
Yeah.
I could not get it past
The
my
moment
head
you start thinking of it as which one's the human and which one's the Zygon, you're othering the Zygons, and that's kind of the point of this. Like, it's peace because everyone's on the same team here.
But like in my head, I was just thinking, but the human one is already dead, so it doesn't make any sense. Like,
but like the Zygon, well, does the Zygon one then suddenly want revenge on humanity? No.
No, I'm just saying.
She wants, if that was the
point,
Zygon one, she wants to upkeep the peace.
The whole point of the Doctor making a big deal about the one being human, one being Zygon. In my head, I was just going, but they're both Zygons.
Yeah, it's just him.
It doesn't make any sense that
it's just
this whole story of humans and Zygons is based on these two.
It's
when they're
just
both
him
Zygons.
being curious because he's one of the people who helped set it all up. So he's like, "Go on, which one are you then?" And Osgood, quite rightly, is like, "No, I'm sticking to what you helped us set up. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which one I am."
Now that I know
Yeah.
that the timeline of things, that there was an Osgood in the sky and an Osgood on the ground.
Oh,
You
right,
don't
yeah.
know
So you
who.
mean that story took place after Day of the Doctor and everything? Yeah.
So now I know that there were two of them.
Yeah.
That makes more sense.
And that, they say at the top of this one that, like, when one of them died, the other one went off the grid. She just left unit and she's not been seen for ages, and that's why she ends up in Truth and Consequences in Mexico and stuff. There's not enough body horror in this.
I think there's too much of it. Well, not too much of it, but like too much implication of it, which is why I agree with you saying that it's more of a Torchwood.
Well, yeah, no, but I mean, like, in both the previous Zygon appearances, the Tom Baker story and the 50th anniversary, they're really scary. Oh no, I mean body horror that's unique to them, like transformation stuff, for example.
There's not enough?
No, because there's some really scary stuff in Terror of the Zygons. A lot of it is about the body snatchers kind of thing of you don't know who you're safe around. I mean, the scene of Harry suddenly trying to murder Sarah Jane in that barn is terrifying because you realise you've not been with Harry Sullivan for a period.
Yeah.
Which means something's happened to Harry, and oh no, this malevolently grinning Harry is trying to stab Sarah Jane to death with a fork. It's like, this is really scary. Do you know what I mean?
He is an imbecile.
And then which is referenced in this.
Yeah.
Harry gets referenced in this.
Oh my god, he does.
I
completely forgot about that.
And there is a in Day of the Doctor. There's a bit where you watch the Kate Stewart one when it's got Clara, I think. Is it Clara? She's got hostage.
Sheriff guy.
No, in the 50th anniversary.
Oh.
Yeah, she's got taking Clara to the Black Archive, and then she reveals that she's a Zygon. And there's that shot where she starts like convulsing, and her face starts going like just bubbling. She like vomits that orange stuff up, and she starts transforming.
What, Clara does?
No, the Zygon that looks like Kate Stewart.
Oh, sorry, I see.
In the 50th.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh god, that's horrifying. Do you know what I mean? In this one, you don't really get many transformation shots. Like, you get the guy who starts to... Because that's one of Bonnie's things, isn't it? She's like, we're going to test this stuff that will out the Zygons.
Yeah.
So people will see them, and then the world will be like, oh my god, what are these horrid things? Like, why are these people looking like this? Are there aliens? And then she's hoping the rest of the Zygons will then turn to this, like, extremist group and be like, oh my god, you were right all along, we'll join you, let's fight the humans, let's kill the humans or whatever, yeah? That's why she does it. So we see this Zygon kind of regressing back into like a half Zygon, half human form.
That's gross.
It is, but they don't really play into it very much. I don't know.
I think there's a bit too much body horror in this. Like,
okay.
Well, maybe not body horror is maybe not the word.
There's a lot of death, but it's a lot of off-screen death.
The hair, the electric hair.
Yeah, exactly. It's very off-screen.
That's gross.
Now, I know that's weird because it's like, hang on, earlier, what you complaining this one might be a bit too heavy for younger audiences. Yeah, but like, respect their intelligence. Kids can handle like sci-fi gore and stuff. They've done it in this show before. I just mean that, you know, the Zygons offer you as a storytelling device some really unique visuals, and I feel like this story didn't really bother with them overall. Can we talk about the scene?
Yes. Do I know what you mean?
And I don't mean the constant
No.
bits where the Doctor refers to himself as Dr. Disco.
Oh, God.
What does he give us his first name again?
Derek.
It's not Derek.
I don't know.
Because he asks Osgood what her first name is, and she finally tells him it's Petronella.
Was it Philip?
No.
That was a genuine guess.
And he gives her a fake name that she uses later.
Phyllis.
No. Anyway. Yeah, no, the Osgood boxes scene. I like the reveal that there's two of them, which is like, yeah, of course there would
Well, that
be.
was really obvious, yeah.
But it's like, it's a nice touch. It's like, yep, there it is. I like that it's in the Black Archive, so we get a bit of continuity with Day of the Doctor.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, how'd they get a Maya helmet in here? But then again, in Day of the Doctor, if you look carefully, there's a whole freaking Dalek in one of those things. So it's like, how'd they get that in here?
How did the team get one of those?
It's ridiculous. Anyway, it's just because they're filling it with props, but I feel Day of the Doctor does a better job at the Easter eggs and the props and everything. Hell, the Lego Dimensions Black Archive, like, hidden level does a better job at filling it with props.
There's a Black Archive in the Lego
If you smash
levels?
up everything correctly, you build Bessie.
Oh my god!
And the
no
Third
way.
Doctor, and I think it's just the Third Doctor, falls out of like a dimensional tear, lands in it, and they drive off.
No!
Yeah.
That's so cute! That's so stinking cute.
That's cute, isn't it? But yeah, because I think you rebuild parts of the Cyber King or something, and then it like smashes open the vault or something.
Oh,
like that.
I need to tell you about a picture that I saw today, by the way.
Okay, should you do it after this?
I can say it during this.
If you want, go for it. Go for it.
I saw a behind the scenes picture, I don't know if you've seen it, of oh crap.
Cyberman?
No, of Paddy Troughton
Yes.
and his name's just gone straight out of my head.
Character.
Second Doctor.
Yep,
No,
Patrick
Third
Troughton.
Doctor, sorry.
John Pertwee.
John Pertwee.
Yeah.
Having a water fight.
Is
John
this
Pertwee behind
is this in a
him.
pool?
No, it's John
No.
Pertwee behind. Let me see if I can find it.
Show me
Troughton.
afterwards. But yeah.
With like a
yeah.
jug of water,
Oh,
and
God.
Patrick's running away. It's dead cute.
Like, they had a proper little, like, played up rivalry. They always did it. It was a lot of fun.
That is why I prefer the old Who to the new Who. Who.
So, the speech. I'm going to call it the speech, because everyone calls it the speech. And the description of this monologue as a speech has ruined the term speech whenever people talk about Doctor Who for me. I hate when people go, oh, it's my favourite speech. I'm like,
Really?
they're not wrong. It's a personal ick. It's just a personal ick. But I hate the idea of like, oh my god, that's the 11th Doctor's speech. I'm like, what do you mean? The Pandorica's speech. It's just okay. That's
I was going to say, he's had
What?
a few. But...
the speech in Rings of Akatet. Like, can we stop talking about speeches? Because it became a thing. People were going like, they're not the Doctor until I've heard them do their speech, and it's like, the fuck are you
Well, then
talking
there
about?
wouldn't be
Pardon
as
my
many-
language.
There wouldn't be as many Doctors then.
It's just it's my personal ick, but yeah. But this scene is weird because I think it's very well written. The scale model of war scene, I think it's really well written. I think Capaldi plays it well, but I think the directing lets him down on a couple shots. There's a couple. Who directed this one? There's a couple bits in this where he's like, when he's talking about like how
It
you
was actually me, so I'm
you
offended.
carry the well, it was rubbish. No, it's Daniel Nettheim. There's a bit where he's talking about like the grief, like what you do with it after you kill people. Do you know, it doesn't go away. You just hold it down inside. And he talks about how, like, and you feel like the weight of it, and you swear to yourself that you will never let anyone get into your position ever again. Like, he's really going for it, and it's very raw and shouty, and like, you know, his bloody eyes and his nose are bloody leaking, and he's going for it.
He's describing war
Yeah.
as if as what it is.
Yeah,
It's,
but it's these wide shots that do him no service whatsoever. It's just really weird. It's a weird choice of shot for it. So he looks like a man screaming to an empty room instead of like getting in close or just looking or just listening to his voice and just watching Gemma Redgrave and Jenna Coleman instead. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like it's I don't know. I like the
It doesn't hit the way it should.
those moments don't. The whole thing, love the sentiment. I love the way he starts off sarky to antagonise them. Like the whole game show thing, where he's just like, here we go, folks, like putting on the American accent and everything. Like that works quite well.
That made me cringe.
Yeah, but that's kind of the thing, isn't it? He's grinding their gears, he's getting on their nerves to be like, are we listening now? Good. Like,
be fair, I could cringe at anything.
That's true. But I hate what this speech has become. Where every time there's real life conflict in the world, people retweet and repost this scene and be like, just listen to Doctor Who, everybody, seriously, like, why are we fighting? Guys, I appreciate the sentiment. I do. Because he's right in this scene. He's right. A lot of conflict, not all, but a lot of conflict is as simple as, if you'd sat down and actually talked about it, we wouldn't have got this far. And inevitably you're going to sit down and talk. Like, the point is sound.
Yeah.
And people have died along the way because you didn't just sit down and talk in the first place. The point is completely sound. Posting it on Twitter when Russia declare war on Ukraine is not going to magically make people think, oh yeah, good point.
Putin's not going to read that and go, oh yeah, you're right.
Oh my God. It's just, again, the sentiment, completely right. But you can have your own interpretation of these feelings that is informed by the culture that you imbue and absorb, like Doctor Who and things like that, and make a point. You don't have to post a clip from Doctor Who and make it... It just feels too simplistic.
Yeah.
It's like I don't think anyone who's posting it is an idiot or simple. I don't think that's not what I'm saying. I don't think that's what you are. But like, real life conflict... Fiction. Is so much more nuanced than just sit down and talk. Like, yes, that is part of it. But exactly. It's fiction. It's teaching a lesson to its younger viewers. It's saying to its younger viewers, horrid things can happen if we don't just actually work it out in the first place. And all that will ever happen is eventually we'll go back to step one and work it out. But horrid stuff will have happened. So let's not make the horrid thing happen in the first place, shall we? Let's skip straight to the sitting down and talk part. Like, the message is so sound and so brilliantly written. It does not resolve real life conflicts to just post that clip online.
I mean, it would be great if everybody, instead of going to war, just sat down and had a conversation and sorted it out there.
Yeah.
They sit down and have a conversation, don't like what the other other country say.
I mean,
that's
again,
why they go to war.
The whole thing of this scene, the scale model of war. It's like, what he's doing here is he's trying to convince two people to not make the mistakes that many others have and many others will. Mm-hmm. And he's successful. That's what that scene is for. It's not something you show on a projector to, like you said, to Vladimir Putin and expect him to go, well, all right, well, the shouting man's got a point. Like, it's not gonna happen, guys. I'm so sorry. I wish it was that simple, but it's not.
And comparing, like, suggesting that, like, Doctor Who could fix it is a little bit...
Yeah. Like, this is allegorical. It's not a solution.
Yeah.
Also, it's completely undermined by the reveal, then, that the boxes would have done nothing. After he's made them both relinquish their position, Bonnie challenges him and like, neither of these boxes would kill or uncover anybody, and he's like, yeah, neither.
But I think that
so it kind of undermines it. Yeah, but I know what you mean, but it's like, it means that even if they'd gone through with it... That
represents his faith in humanity, doesn't it?
Nope.
Because he knew that...
It represents his mistrust of both of them. That he's made it so that even if they go ahead with it, nothing will happen.
No, I thought of it as the opposite.
How so? How so?
Like, he knew that they wouldn't press the buttons, so there was no point in making them do what he said they'd do.
Yeah, but why would there be buttons then? There just wouldn't be There just wouldn't be buttons. Now again, like you said, it's symbolic, but it was still devices in the Black Archive that you could get to and people sought out to use to uncover or kill the species. So it's like, he had to talk them out of using them.
I know, but I interpret it as him, like, knowing that they wouldn't do it.
But still, the Osgoods recorded a message describing the basics of what it was. So it was giving people a reason to go and find it. Meaning there would always be someone to go and find these things and use them. And even then, he had to talk them out of using them. And then it's revealed, oh, by the way, they do nothing.
Yeah.
Because what would have happened if he'd not talked Bonnie out of it? She would have pressed it, found out it did nothing, and then immediately she'd been like, kill them. And her Zygons would have killed everybody in the room. And she would have gone off and used the thingy to uncover all the Zygons anyway. It's just...
Well, now you said it like that.
It undermines everything he said in that scene, everything he did. And it's also like, hey, look, you guys have to make this work. I've just started it off with the conversation, making everyone in the room not know if they're human or Zygon, so you guys can talk it out on a level playing field, and then it's up to you. But also I'm going to give you these things that could ruin it all. Do you know what I mean? It's like the if the Osgoods had come up with it, I'd buy it. If the Osgoods had come up with the idea of the Osgood box, because then it's them going, right, one of us is human, one of us is Zygon, we'll never tell who, but to make the point, here is our thing. Yeah. Here's what we're suggesting. Do you know what I mean? But the fact that it's the Doctor, I'm like, I feel it's muddied. I enjoyed both of these stories a lot more this time than I did on broadcast, though. So... Is
that because we insult them, like, at the time?
Well, I just didn't enjoy them at the time. But on rewatch, there's stuff that I enjoy because I know what I don't like.
Right.
So I see...
So you're not blinded by what you don't like?
Yeah, like I know what I don't like. So now I look for stuff I do like.
Right.
Which is why I always think there's merit when it comes to TV shows in revisiting stuff, because when you do get around to rewatching a thing again... A lot of it's back to when we were kids, and we watch repeats of stuff, Simpsons, Star Trek Next Generation, things like that on BBC Two. You get to an episode that you'd seen before, maybe, and you'd be like, I didn't like that one. The Snogs. But you get to an episode that you maybe didn't like last time, but because it's what was on, you'd watch it again, or have it on in the background, and after it finished, you'd be like, no, I still don't really like it, but I like that bit. Or I really like that performance, or I didn't like it, but the costumes are amazing. Do you know what I mean? You find the thing that you like on the second watch when it comes to something that you didn't enjoy, I think. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, now I know, like, we're in the time span of us doing this, we're going to do a Marvel Phase 4 rewatch. And rewatch the films and then the TV shows, aren't we, is the plan.
Yeah.
One of the films you've not seen, which is Thor Love and Thunder, which I saw, and I still wish I hadn't. But now that I know I hate Thor Love and Thunder, on my second watch, I'll be looking out for things I do like about it. I might come out of it having only liked one thing. But like...
Yeah, I doubt that it's going to happen.
What do you guys think of these stories? Are we being too harsh? Is this... Hey, Dolly! Oi! Cat scraping in a cabinet. Oi! Oi! Oi!
Stop!
Stop it. This is a scale model of war. Let us know in the comments down below. We're going to go now in real time and eat food. Or make food. What are you having tonight?
I'm having... I'm currently... right, this is for Lucy in the future. You better still be doing keto. Swear to God. You better be like a rake now.
I'm going to go and reheat some bolognese I made the other day. We'll see you later, everybody. Also, if you're wondering, it's a bit sparse, this desk, innit? Yeah, because we're at the era now where they made, like, nothing. Like, no toys.
So what are we going to do instead of it? You will find out next time.
Next time? Good luck. Goodbye!